Some secrets aren't just painful, they steal childhoods, and silence lets them win. The hardest stories to tell are the ones that never should have happened. But tonight, we break the silence. This is Mia's Whisper. I'm Mia Harper, and today we're listening to a story that was never meant to be told. Hamad, welcome. Take your time. We're listening.
Hi, Mia. Thank you for having me.
Of course, Hamad. You don't have to rush. Start whenever you're ready.
I was 10 years old the first time it happened. My father was a businessman in Dubai, always working, always traveling. He had an employee, a man from Jordan, who had been with him for years. Trusted, respected, always around. I liked him. He was funny, always bringing me gifts. He'd ruffle my hair, tell me I was special, call me his little brother. And I believed him. One night, my mother was out with my sisters. My father was in London for work. I was home alone when the doorbell rang. It was him. "You don't want to sit at home alone, do you?" he asked, smiling. "Come, let's watch a movie." He sat next to me, too close, but I didn't think anything of it. He put his arm around me. I still didn't think anything of it, until he leaned in and whispered something in my ear. "You trust me, don't you?" That was the first time I felt something was wrong. My body froze, but my mind couldn't understand why. Then he touched me. I still remember the sound of the movie playing in the background, the smell of his cologne, the way the room suddenly felt smaller, like the walls were closing in. I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know what was happening. I just knew it wasn't right. After it was over, he looked at me and said, "This is our secret. You're a man now. Only strong boys can handle secrets like this." And I was 10. I wanted to be strong. It didn't stop that night. It happened again and again, for years. I became two different people. On the outside, I was the quiet, obedient son, but inside, I felt broken, dirty, guilty. I convinced myself it wasn't abuse, because if I admitted it was, then I had to admit that I was a victim. And I didn't want to be a victim. So I stayed silent. When I turned 14, I started feeling different. I was confused about myself, about who I was. I started questioning everything. Was I this way because of what he did to me? Or was this who I was all along? I hated myself for even asking those questions. I tried to push it down, to act normal. I even forced myself to date girls. I thought if I could just be normal, it would go away. But it never did. I was 18 when I finally understood the truth. I was scrolling online late one night, and I came across a post. It said, "If something was done to you when you were too young to understand, it was never your fault." And I swear to you, in that moment, something inside me shattered. For the first time in my life, I allowed myself to ask the one question I had always avoided. What if I wasn't to blame? I cried that night. It was hard. I hadn't cried in years. But the truth was out, and I couldn't shove it back down. I realized that man had stolen something from me. My childhood, my innocence, my sense of self. And I hadn't been carrying the weight of his crime for too long. I started therapy last year. It took me months just to say the words out loud, but I finally did. And for the first time, I felt free. I still have bad days. Some nights, I wake up drenched in sweat, his voice echoing in my head. Some days, I still wonder if I'll ever feel whole. But I know this now. I was never weak. I was never dirty. And I was never to blame. And if anyone listening has ever felt like I did, trapped, confused, ashamed, please hear me when I say this. You were never to blame either.
Hamad, I don't even know what to say. I think this might be the first time in my life that I don't have the words. I can feel it in my chest, the weight of your story. And if I feel like this just hearing it, I can't even imagine what it was like for you to live through it. Thank you for your strength, for your truth, for breaking the silence. This story isn't just Hamad's, it's the story of too many, and it's time we start talking about it. If you've ever felt alone in your pain, please know this. There are people who will believe you, who will stand with you, who will help you heal. You are not alone, and you never were. If you've been silent for too long, know this. Your voice matters. If you or someone you know has been through this, let's bring light to what was kept in the dark. Comment, share, and let the world hear the truth. And if you want to hear more stories that the world is too afraid to talk about, subscribe, share, and help us keep these conversations going. Until next time, stay strong, stay safe, and never let your voice be taken from you again.